We have been playing the community-crafted mode in Overwatch 2 for over a week now, so it's time to take inventory of which changes Blizzard should keep. Let's have a look. To celebrate 100 million players in Overwatch 2, Blizzard asked 4 content creators to suggest some changes to all heroes for a community-crafted mod that ended up being in the arcade at the start of Season 11. Those content creators are Emongg, who took a look at all the tanks, TQQ for the hit scan, Custa looked at the projectile DPS, and Eskay cooked up some changes for support. Now, overall, these changes are not as impactful as the stuff that we saw with the April Fool's card or a mirror watch, but there definitely are a few changes in there that I really want to keep. There's actually one that I think they should have implemented from the start. In any case, I'm going to pick 10 changes in total that I think they should keep, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to keep that favorite one for last. You might be surprised about the hero I picked. But first, before we start, I wanted to highlight 2 heroes, 2 changes that I still have not decided on. And I think you guys might be able to help me out. Now, both of these changes are made by TQQ. First off, there's Ashe. In that mode, she can set up her dynamite manually by just clicking the ability again. And she can do the same thing with Bob. She can make him stop wherever she wants by clicking the alt button again. On one end, I feel like it makes Ashe way too easy to play. It really kind of dumbs her down. On the other hand, I feel it opens new strategic options. And you know what? When you play Ashe enough, you rarely miss your dynamite. It almost becomes an instinct. The one thing that change does is to allow you to set off the dynamite without having line of sight, which is kind of important. And same goes for Bob. Again, at a first glance, I feel like it makes her too easy. But I'm thinking that if they would implement something like this over time, the players would find new ways to make it into a strategic advantage, which would heighten her skill ceiling again, but also make her more reliable. The second one is Soldier, and more specifically has Biotic Field. In this case, TQQ kind of did the reverse, and instead of dropping down your Biotic Field, it kind of bounces forward till it hits an obstacle, or till it runs out of momentum. It almost feels like you're throwing a pebble over a lake. It bounces a few times and then it stops and deploys. And at first, I hated it. I was Googling ways to set fire to that ability. I didn't find anything. But then I figured out it's because of my old muscle memory. Once I started getting used to it, the ability actually became more impactful. Especially because I'm that type of soldier player that kind of acts like a backup support. If I see one of my teammates suffer, I'll drop it to make sure that they stay alive. I like to share my Biotic Field. And with this new version, I could actually get it in places where I wanted it to be without getting myself in harm's way. So I'm kind of intrigued because you actually have both. If you throw it in a correct angle, it will kind of stick to you. If you throw it in a different angle, it will bounce away and maybe hit one of your teammates. Keep them alive. So, what do you guys think about these two? Let me know in the comments. But here we go. These are the 10 changes I personally want to keep in the game. And the first one is for Ramatra. Now, first off, let me say that I don't think we need that buff for the Void Accelerator. I think Ramatra's doing fine when it comes to his damage. But I do agree with Emongg about the height of the Ravenous Vortex. Back when they introduced it, there was supposed to be a way of kind of pulling down the fires and the echoes. But most of the time, those heroes are flying over your vortex. So you end up using it as a slow with a bit of a DPS on all the other heroes. Which is fine and useful in most cases. But it also needs to do what it was made for. Ground those flying heroes, especially with Space Ranger coming up. I'm pretty sure that she's going to be flying too. I mean, I don't think those jets are for roasting marshmallows. The second one is Reinhardt. Of course it is. The barrier field change where he kind of speeds up as his shield goes down, yeah, fine. But the fire strike speeding him up makes a little more sense. And the 50% damage reduction when he charges, we need that. I mean, it might get abused by those Reinhardts that seem not to be able to leave that charge button alone. But they are going to charge anyways, with or without that buff. Might as well try to keep him alive. So yeah, I want to keep that one. The next one might get me yelled at. Wouldn't be the first time. Zarya. I like the fact that her ultimate destroys Baptiste's immortality field and kind of stops any incoming projectiles. Look, let me explain it this way. Zarya's ultimate is very dependent on her own skill. But once she mastered that, it's kind of out of her control because the second step is the rest of her team. They need to react to that. And yeah, communication helps, but sometimes your team is just staring at a distance and you're basically becoming a chiropractor in some cases. Even if your team is kind of cooperating, there's a third factor, and that's the enemy team. And more specifically, that immortality field. So it becomes really difficult for Zarya sometimes to get any use out of her ultimate. But by taking away some of those external factors, it might be a different story. That's why I want to keep this Zarya change. 4. Bastion. Look, I don't play Bastion that much myself, but for one, having another hero in game that does damage upon death, at this point we're 40 heroes in, it's about time someone else started doing that. And to be fair, it kind of makes sense, but I'm mainly interested in the self-repair. I really like the self-repair much more than the grenade. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Number 5, Reaper. That did not sound like him even a tiny bit. The changes to Reaper's raid form are the most fun I've had with Reaper ever. First off, it acts like Mora's Fate. So no more of that clumsy kind of, ooh, I'm here, I'm not here, woohoo, that little dance he does. And that also includes the little jump you can do to get up to an obstacle. Love it. And if you think about it, Mora is the one that made Reaper who he is. Kind of makes sense that they share an ability. And second, his raid form does damage to everybody he passes through. It makes Reaper more like he needs to be. Always on the prowl and difficult to keep track of. Now, the fact that you can kind of do this in the midst of your Dead Blossom and the overhealing in some cases might make him a little too strong. So I might not keep the complete package. But the raid form, definitely. Number 6, Turbian. The level 3 turret is back. I missed that turret so much. And the fact that they kept some of the art files in decline is kind of impressive. They must have been thinking about doing this at some point. Now, over the last few months, we've seen them buff and nerf that turret. I think this might be the solution. Every X seconds, you have this little boost that you can give to your turret. So keep it. 7, Ana. Alright, fine, you're alright, the mobility is good. After I mentioned in my video about the April Fool's card that the Ana jump looked ridiculous, I got so much pushback. All the Ana players were angry at me, and I play Ana myself quite often. Yeah, I agree, she needs mobility. That was not the issue. It was just the fact that this old lady just out of nowhere did this double jump. It didn't make any sense. Now, her kind of loaning Baptiste's boots kind of helps a little bit. It's still funny to watch though if you see her take off like that. I wonder if it was a birthday gift from Baptiste. Maybe I should have gotten her the grapple hook from Widowmaker. That would have been even funnier. Yeah, I don't think she would survive that. Number 8, Brigitte. I only started playing Brigitte, let's say in the last year. And I've always regretted that I didn't start playing her earlier because she actually is a lot of fun. These changes not only add utility to her kit, well, mainly for the other players, because now you can see if you're getting healed by Brigitte, if you're under the influence of her heal. But the other changes kind of emphasize what I like so much about Brigitte. She is a tank support hybrid, and that speed boost kind of feels like you're putting an exclamation mark behind that role. I love it. It's been so much fun. So I definitely want to keep that one. Number 9 is Mercy. I'm going to be honest. I added Mercy to this lineup because the Mercy Mafia made me. You're keeping my girlfriend hostage. I don't think I was supposed to say that out loud. Nah, seriously. That temporary res is the funniest thing I've seen in a while. And the first times it happened to me, I did not understand what was going on. I was playing Symmetra, I got res, then like 10 seconds later I was gone again. I looked at the kill feed and it looked like I had killed myself. And then it happened on another character and then I was like, oh wait. But it does kind of emphasize my opinion on res. I actually personally feel that res is very disruptive for the flow of your team. Eskay kind of fixed it by making the res faster. But then, yeah, you only get 10 seconds to make a difference and then you're back to spawn. Back you go. Now, when it comes to the shorter cooldown for res, not a fan. I am, however, a fan of Valkyrie resetting your res cooldown. That is something that Mercy mains used to have back in the day, and it kind of makes sense. It adds to that whole fantasy of her kind of going up there and boosting and healing the hell out of everybody. And it is such a perfect moment when she, in the midst of that, just quickly reses someone. It just feels like she is kind of rallying the troops at that point. I love it. So, even if I don't play Mercy at all, I would like them to keep this. Can I have my girlfriend back now? Number 10, my favorite. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but it's the change for Mei. That's right, the demon. This change should have been part of her kit from day one. More specifically, the change to Endothermic Blaster. Frozen Ground speeds up Mei's movement speed by 20%. It's frozen from the Incredibles. That is the best thing Custa did for this whole patch. Seriously, this is so much fun. It feels so rewarding and it is so lore accurate. It's perfect. Pure joy. On the other hand, I think he might have overdone it a little bit with her ultimate, because that is crazy. When Mei sets her for ultimate, instead of just dropping it in one spot, it will follow her along. On paper, it looks really strong, but the thing is, it's not really easy to pull off. You need to take more of a personal risk to make it work. Come on, let's be honest, it's way easier to just throw it out there, ice block, until everybody has turned into a popsicle, at which point you start harvesting souls like you're the spawn of hell. Anyways, I wouldn't mind keeping the frozen thing. But these were all the 10 changes I want to keep. Which one are you hoping to implement in the live game? Let me know in the comments. For now, however, that was it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. I also want to thank my patrons. I could not make these videos without you guys. You have my eternal gratitude. If you have a few minutes left, maybe check out this video. Click it. But above all, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye-bye.